Good evening. Today, we, dear ones, are going to study a little bit of figurative language. Now, figurative language is something that you have to figure out. It is language expressed in a way that is not, what would you say? It is not necessarily clear, right? And we use figurative language especially in poetry. And because we are writing poems, we are going to do a quick review on figurative language. The first one is alliteration. Now, I like to remember this one because it has two L's in it, and alliteration uses the consonant sound. The consonant sound is repeated, alliteration. So you have a sentence or phrase with words which start with the same letter or sound. For example, Morgan Mouse munched marshmallows merrily. What a cute little mouse. And if you listen, Morgan Mouse munched marshmallows merrily, it has kind of a musical note to it, and so therefore alliteration is used often in poetry. Next, we have something called hyperbole. I like this word because it has the word hyper in it. And if you remember that hyper means overexcited, right? And hyperbole is to describe something very exaggerated, or one might say too excitedly, right? And so, for example, one might say, we waited in line all... Can you see that? I'm so sorry. There you go. We waited in line all day. Now, really, did you wait in line all day or maybe half an hour, right? Or the computer took 12 hours. Oh, really? Did it only take 30 seconds? Or did it really take 12 hours? Really, that is a hyperbole. It's an extreme hyper exaggeration, which is fun in poetry. You know, you like to use flowery figurative language. Next, we have the word personification. I like this word because it has the word person in it, and if you look at the definition, it is describing a non-human object, perhaps a pencil or a pen like this one, and it is giving it a person's qualities, so it will act like a person. So as I was writing, the pencil was dancing across the paper. Well, do pencils or pens really dance? No, they don't. And do they do human things like that? No, they don't. So that is personification. The example we have here says, the leaves danced in the wind. What a lovely image. Instead of saying the leaves were blowing, really, who wants to say that in a poem or in a descriptive paper? Instead, you want to say the leaves were dancing in the wind, and it sounds so much better. Next, we have the idiom. Now, the idiom is a strange one. It reminds me of the word, it's kind of naughty, so I'll say it quietly. Idiot. Now, I'm not calling you an idiot. I would never do that. Fancy me, no. But what I'm saying is sometimes I feel like an idiot when I read an idiom, because what does that even mean? Really, like one day, yesterday, 2 days ago, someone told me that they were as thick as thieves. And I said to myself, what kind of bizarre language is that? To be thick as thieves. And do you know what thick as thieves means? It means best friends. I was like, oh, I had to look that up myself. And I know a lot of figurative language. This one, idiom, is phrases that mean something different than what they say. For example, it's raining cats and dogs. Really? There are cats and dogs falling from the sky? I don't think so. It's just an idiom. You're not an idiot. The word is an idiom. See? Figurative language. You have to figure it out. Next, we have A metaphor. Oh, do I love a good metaphor. Metaphors are clever, friends. Oh, they are so clever. For example, metaphor, and let's define it first. It means to compare two words using is or are. For example, instead of in a poem saying she smiled brightly, you might say her smile was the sun or is the sun. Metaphors are lovely. They are comparing two unlike objects using the word is or are or any other form of to be. For example, was or were, right? Her tears were an ocean flowing down her face. Really, that's quite lovely. Instead of saying she cried a lot, which is rather boring compared to that, which is why we use figurative language like metaphors, words that use is or are when comparing. And finally, dear friends, how can we forget our friend the simile? Similes compare two things, objects that are unlike, using the words like or as. For example, you might say, he is as fast as a rabbit. Now, have you ever seen a rabbit get scared? They are very, very fast. They're gone in an instant. And if you compare him to an unlike object like a rabbit, oh my, good thing I had my carrots today. Oh boy. Oh yes, I see you there. Oh, there are those shoes, Miss Lovelace. Those are lovely. This, friends, is a simile because you are comparing two things like, using like and as. Now, we hope that you enjoy writing these poems and that you have a lovely time thinking of which type of figurative language you will use in your poetry.